Hey, everybody, welcome to the Not Move podcast. Hope everybody's having a great Monday. It's August 25th at 12:50 p.m. Eastern Time. Glad you guys could join today. Man, what a great show that we had. What was it, Thursday on the 13th episode of this baseball podcast. I don't really like to talk about wins a whole lot. It is what it is. Just keep moving on. I don't like to, get too happy about wins or too down about losses. Just keep moving forward. So that's what we'll be doing here today. We have a lot of baseball games on. The first thing that I like to do is just talk about weather a little bit. Let some people get in the, let people tune in, give them time to join us. So I like to use rotogrinders.com for weather updates. The only concern that I'm seeing as of now is that there are a few spotty showers around the Tampa Bay Rays Cleveland Guardians game. They're saying that a delay is possible. All right. Other than that, everything else looks pretty clear. They are talking about wind a little bit here. And, we've talked about how wind is just as little as 5 miles per hour can, you know, carry a ball an extra 20 feet or so. So, wind is definitely important. So I like to look at swishanalytics.com when it comes to looking at the wind factor. Let's see if we have any significant winds here today. I'm seeing in the Red Sox and Orioles game, wind blowing from left to right, anywhere from 6 to 11 miles per hour. All right. See here. Nationals at Yankees. Wind blowing out towards right field, 7.3 to 9.9 miles per hour right now. And when I type in my search engine here, right, park factors, MLB, it takes me to this baseballsavant.com. And I click on that. It'll ask me about rolling years. I filter it to one bat side. I'm going to select left and update my sheet here. And then I'm going to filter it by home runs. So if you click on that home run column, you can kind of look at what I'm looking at here. They have the Yankee Stadium um, ranked sixth best for left-handed hitters. So that wind typically is going to help a left-handed hitter. Sixth best ballpark. I know a lot of you like to play home run props and stuff like that. And we can talk about that here in a bit. I'm not going to get into the home runs for that game right this second, but the wind is favorable as of right now for left handed hitters. Twins, Blue Jays, some strong winds in that game. Looks like 9.3 to 12.2 miles per hour, blowing in from left field towards that first baseline. I don't want to bore you to death with all this wind stuff. Maybe we can just talk about it. Once we talk about a home run park, overall, those were the games that looked like had the biggest wind impacts. Okay, but there are still some other games. And once again, if you want to look what I'm looking at with the wind, swishanalytics.com. I think they do a great job at showing you the direction the wind is blowing and the miles per hour. Okay. All right. So, I'm used to doing shows closer to game time. The reason for that is starting lineup confirmations. So, rotowire.com is the source that I like to use for lineup confirmations. There is not one single lineup that has been confirmed, starting lineup yet. So, this is going to be a little trickier, but after the show, And once I have more information about starting lineups, I will post the teams that I like or lean towards winning the game or hitting on that run line to my social media pages, just like on Thursday. Okay. All right. So, first game, Boston at Baltimore. Found an interesting trend here. So, Boston has a 1-8 win-loss record in Monday road games this season. So, if you're thinking about taking Boston today, you got that working against you. Also, the Baltimore Orioles are a perfect 5-0 in Monday home games, win-loss. Baltimore has a 5-4 win-loss record against Boston this season. Let's see. On this day, in 1924, Walter Johnson, uh, they were called the Washington Senators back then. They are now called the Washington Nationals. Anyways, he threw a no hitter against the St. Louis Browns, who are now known as the Baltimore Orioles. So if you're into history and like history repeating itself, um, Baltimore had a no hitter thrown against them back in 1924 on this day. Okay, so, anyways, let's get to the game stuff here. So I'm seeing that Bernardino, left-handed pitcher for Boston, is projected to start in this game, but he shouldn't be throwing too long, I don't think, unless you can see that information elsewhere. Um, I'm seeing, according to RotoWire.com, that this Bernardino is going to be the starter for Boston today, but his pitch count, I mean, the highest amount of pitches he's thrown in a game this season is 35. Let me double check that. Yeah, 35. So I don't see this guy being in the game too long. So I really was looking at Fitz, Richard Fitz. He's supposed to be the bulk reliever in this game for the Boston Red Sox. All right. And he has not pitched against Baltimore this season. Also, Boston is 0-6 on the road with Fitz pitching this season. I don't know if he started all of those games. I don't know if he just came in for an inning or what the deal is, but Boston, anytime that Fitz is in a game on the road, Boston has a 0-6 win-loss record. They're winless. Um, they lost 3 of those games by 3+ runs. Also, the other 3 they lost by exactly 1 run. Also, Boston is 0-1 in Monday road games with Fitz. Um, Fitz has never pitched against Baltimore throughout his career. His average pitch count has been 67 this season and 67 in his last 5 games. Hey, what's up, Blessed Up P? Yeah, it's been a minute. Love switch for batters versus pitcher matchups. I believe you put me on last year. Yeah, man. The O has been playing good, and the pitcher today has been really good has been good lately. Finally, yeah, man. So there's some good things about Boston already, or excuse me, Baltimore that we've talked about already so far. Let's look into this a little bit more. So Fitz's average pitch count 67. So um, I'm not as concerned about you know Boston needing to use their bullpen today because they have the third best bullpen ERA in baseball. I also just want to say real quick, some of the information that I talk about might not be 100% accurate because I looked at a lot of data this morning and last night, but I try to look at it as late as possible. Um, but there could be a possibility that a source hasn't updated quite yet. So maybe this morning when I looked, I saw Boston's bullpen ERA is ranked third, and now they're technically fifth or something like that. So just please keep that in mind. But it should be right around that general vicinity if it's not 100% accurate. Okay. Um, so that's another problem with doing shows this early in the day. But we'll work through it. Okay, so I'm seeing that Fitz is worse against right-handed hitters in regards to batting average allowed, and he's worse against right-handed hitters hitting home runs. His home runs per 9 innings average is very high as well. It's at 2.2 home runs per 9 innings. So if you'd like a Baltimore Oriole to hit a home run today, you got that going for you. And then we'll talk about home runs here in a second in this game. All right, so Sagano, right-handed pitcher, projected to pitch today for Baltimore, pitched at Boston on August 19th, so 6 days ago, and Baltimore won that game 4-3 in extra innings. 5 innings pitched, 5 hits allowed, 1 earned run, no home runs, no walks, 3 strikeouts. Now, Fitz been a fade all year. I was mad when they shut him down. Yeah, sounds like a good, possibly a good time to fade him again here today. I do want to mention that Baltimore has a 9-3 win-loss record at home with Sagano as well. Um, so it looks like from the when I looked this morning, and it still looks that way. Uh, Boston's favored to win this game. So, anyways, let's keep looking at this. So Baltimore's 9-3 at home with Sagano. Won 5 of those games by 2+ runs. Baltimore's 1-0 in Monday home games with Sagano pitching. Baltimore is 1-0 against Boston when Sagano pitches throughout his short career. Uh, his average pitch count's been 89 in his last 5 games, 88 throughout the season, and I think it is extremely important for Sugano to, you know, go into the last in this game as long as possible because Baltimore does have the 25th ranked bullpen ERA. So their bullpen is near the bottom of the league. Now, I'm seeing that Sagano is slightly worse against right-handed hitters in regards to batting average allowed and worse against left-handed hitters hitting home runs. All right. And his home runs per 9 inning average is kind of high as well. Not as high as Fitz, but it's at 1.4 home runs per 9 innings. So I think this is a good spot for you home run guys. Now, um, we already talked about the bullpen a little bit. Base stealing. Um, I would give Boston a base stealing advantage. They do rank sixth in stolen bases per game. Baltimore ranks 12th in stolen bases allowed per game, whereas Baltimore ranks 16th in stolen bases per game, and Boston ranks 22nd in stolen bases allowed per game. And then you guys already know that I like to look at that net bases prevented chart. If you just type into your search engine net bases prevented MLB, it'll take you to that source that I'd like to use. One of many sources that I like to use, baseballsavant.com, and it just kind of tells you the metrics and what they're looking at there. But yeah, I think the net bases prevented sheet has helped me a lot. Anyways, so as we know, starting lineups are not out yet. I do just want to cover these run line trends real quick. Boston's ranked second on the run line as a road favorite this season, second best record in baseball on that run line. So that's the most favorable run line trend that I see in this game. And then Baltimore, after a win, ranks 21st on the run line, which makes me, or not makes me, but that's the worst run line trend that I see out of these two teams. Into the you guys pretty much know the run line trends that I like to look at. Run line after a win, after a loss, as a road favorite, as a road underdog, as a home favorite, as a home underdog. Anyways, yeah. So Boston looks good there. Um, Also, I was looking at the projected starting lineups, and I think Boston, they got some good bats. Um, their bats in regards to batting average against the hand that Sugano pitches with. They have a lot of guys. They have 6 guys that are projected to start today that are batting 251 or better off right-handed pitching, whereas Baltimore has only three guys batting 261 or better against right-handed pitching with Fitz. So, um, like I was saying earlier, it's a little bit too early for me to make any predictions, but I like the trends that I see with Baltimore here. So I'm gonna have to lean towards Baltimore plus 1.5 as of right now. Once again, that could change whenever I post my picks to my social media pages here in a little bit. Red Sox traveling after a Sunday night game. Great call. Yeah. So I look at a lot of information. Um, and I know you guys have some great information as well. So that's really the idea. I'm glad that you mentioned that for everybody else watching. Blessed up, Pete. Thank you. Um, but yeah, that's another element to this. Absolutely, Red Sox are traveling after that Sunday night game. Yeah, good call. All right. And then as far as home runs, I feel like we've how long have we been on the air? 17 minutes. So this is one of the better places I think to hit a home run today. Let's see that wind again. Blowing from left to right, anywhere from 6 to 11 miles per hour. So uh, baseballsolvent.com has this ballpark ranked first for left-handed hitters hitting home runs and third for right-handed hitters hitting home runs. Um, Although Fitz is allowing more home runs per 9 innings than Sagano, I think I would want to target a Boston Red Sox here, just because Baltimore has the 25th ranked bullpen ERA. So if there's a player for Boston that doesn't get one against Sagano, I think there is a better chance that they get one in the later stages of the game than Baltimore has a chance against the third ranked Boston Red Sox bullpen ERA. All right. But we can kind of look for one for each team here. All right. So Fitz's pitch arsenal, 40% of the time he's throwing a four seam fastball. Okay. So I am going to look at Boston Red Sox. Who is good out of those players with a decent batting average against the excuse me, Baltimore, right? Baltimore is who we're looking at. Still early. Okay. Baltimore Orioles. Um, so Fitz throws 40% of the time this season. He's throwing a four seam fastball. And then when I'm looking at Baltimore Orioles, seeing Gunnar Henderson, he's batting 314 batting average off of right-handed pitching, and his slugging percentage off of the four-seam fastball this season is at 567. You may be thinking, what is a good slugging percentage in baseball, right? Anything above 500 is generally considered good, with anything over 500 being or 550 being great. Okay, so Gunnar Henderson um, is slugging once again that four seam fastball at 567 rates. All right, and then that's really who I would be interested in here today for the Orioles. And then the slider, we can check. That's Fitz's second most used pitch, 28% slider. Gunnar Henderson slugging that at a 429, so that could be better. Um, and then I don't see any. Also, something that you can look at is batter versus pitcher history, right? Blessed Up P was talking about that earlier. Yeah, we were using that last season. Blessed Up P. Um, so let me just see real quick if anybody has any history off of this guy. I don't think they do. If they do, it's not a lot of history. Well, Gunnar Henderson does have 12 at bats, and he does not have a home run. He's got two triples off him, but he doesn't have a home run off him in 12 at bats. So, mm, Maybe typically I would like to have better batters versus pitcher history or none at all, right? I mean, he can still do it, but just maybe not the greatest spot to select a home run hitter. Somebody else that I had in mind was maybe like Jackson Holiday, but he's only slugging 386 off the four seam. I mean, I would still have to lean towards Gunnar Henderson for the Orioles. And let's look at Boston real quick and move on to the next game. So Boston Red Sox, Sugano, 24% of the time throws a splitter. So that's his most used pitch this season. And Duran slugging that at a 758. So he's hitting that pretty well there. Duran is probably the guy that I think it's kind of between Duran and Bregman. Duran has a better batting average against right-handed pitching, but Bregman, it's a smaller sample size, but he's slugging that splitter at a 1.111, which is out of this world. But he's only seen 9 plate appearances, 34 pitches of that this season, that splitter, compared to Duran, who has seen 117 of those pitches. Let's look at that four seam. Bregman slugging that four seam, which is Sagano's second most used pitch at 19%. Bregman slugging that at 549. Rafael at 523. Duran 494. And then what about the sweeper? His third most used pitch, 18%. It's a very diverse pitch arsenal that Sagano has. So we'll probably find some guys later on that throw a throw a fastball 50% near 50% of the time. So you kind of know what's going to be coming at you as a batter. Um, when somebody's throwing the same pitch 50% of the time, whereas like Sagano, he's throwing it 24% of the time, 20%, 18%. Anyways, this third most used pitch that he likes, seeing, Navarez, but then I see Duran slugging at a 593. Now, we did say Sagano's worse against left-handed hitters hitting home runs, so I'm gonna have to lean towards Duran getting a home run here. I also just kind of like what I see out of his slugging percentages against those specific pitches. This is gonna be my favorite home run hitter in this game. Okay, and then looking back at Gunnar Henderson, Fitz is worse against right-handed hitters hitting home runs. Okay. All right, but I don't want to talk about home runs too much. But that just happened to be the first game that we were covering, and it happens to be uh, a highly ranked home run park. All right, so let's go ahead and move on here. Tampa Bay at Cleveland. Tampa Bay is 3-2 win-loss in Monday road games. Cleveland is 3-4 in Monday home games. These teams haven't played each other this season. Um, on this day in 1967, Dean Chance from Minnesota threw a no-hitter at Cleveland. So Minnesota won that game 2-1 back in 1967 on this day. So just right there, Cleveland doesn't have something favorable going for them in regard to that. Also, Tampa Bay as a road underdog, they rank fifth best in baseball on that run line. And then the worst run line, that's the best run line trend that I see in this game. The worst run line trends that I see are equal with each other. Cleveland ranks 19th as a home favorite on the run line. Also, Tampa Bay, after a win, ranks 19th on the run line. So that kind of just washes each other out. So overall, I'd give Tampa Bay the advantage in regards to run line trend advantage here. So um, it was looking like Boz, when I was looking yesterday, was going to start, but now it looks like Seymour is going to be starting in this game for Tampa Bay. He's a left-handed pitcher. This looks like his first career start. The last time I did a show and we were talking about somebody's first career start, was that Schlittler guy for the Yankees, and the Yankees offense did pretty well that day. So maybe Tampa Bay's offense is going to come out to play for this guy. All right. Anyways, he's a left-handed pitcher. Um, he's been a relief pitcher for the most part. Tampa Bay does have a 2-6 win-loss record on the road with Seymour pitching, but he didn't start in any of those games, right? They won one of those games by exactly two. They lost 5 out of the 6 games that they did lose on the road with Seymour pitching by 2+ runs. I'm seeing that he's worse against right-handed hitting in regards to batting average, but it's a small sample size. He's worse against left-handed hitters hitting home runs as well, but that's a small sample size. Um, Home runs per 9 inning. I'm not going to be talking about home runs in this game, but it's at 1.2. His walks per 9 innings at 3.1 walks per 9 innings is his average. So we really don't look at walks per 9 innings a whole lot unless is at 3.5 or higher, right? But it's at 3.1, so it's right under that threshold. Okay, so from my understanding, it's going to be Seymour getting the nod tonight instead of Boz. So I'm going to go ahead and delete my notes here on Boz. So Bybee for Cleveland is the projected pitcher for them. He's a right-handed pitcher. He hasn't pitched against Tampa Bay this season. Cleveland does have a 7-3 record, win-loss record at home with Bybee this season. They won 4 out of 7 of those games by 2+ runs. And then they lost all 3 of those games that they did lose at home with Bybee by 4+ runs. Cleveland is 1-0 in Monday home games with Bybee. Cleveland has a 1-1 win-loss record against Tampa Bay with Bybee throughout his career. His average pitch count is 95, 96 in his last 5. I forgot to mention that with Seymour. We talked about how he's kind of a relief guy, right? His average pitch count has been 33 this season, 45 in his last 5 games. And I'm not seeing, um, anywhere that I'm not seeing any indication on what his pitch count will be tonight. But, Tampa Bay does have the 11th ranked bullpen ERA. I would be concerned a little bit if Tampa Bay's bullpen ERA was terrible, but they are above average in that regard. Um, Anyways, back to Bybee. He's worse against left-handed hitters, batting average, worse against left-handed hitters hitting home runs this season, but about the same versus lefties and righties since 2023 in regards to home runs allowed. 1.5 home runs per 9 innings. His walks per 9 inning average is not terrible. It's at 2.8. Now, Tampa Bay is a great base stealing team. They rank first in stolen bases per game. Cleveland does rank 19th in stolen bases allowed per game. I'm looking at Bybee's net bases prevented, and it's at 1. So that's not terrible, or it's not good or bad, right? It's probably a little bit more on the good side. Um, so yeah, I do think Tampa Bay can steal some bases here today. Uh, but on the flip side, I'm thinking Cleveland might be able to as well, right? They rank 12th in stolen bases per game. Tampa Bay allows the third most stolen bases per game this season. So both of these pitchers, their net bases prevented number is at 1. So I'm thinking that I'm thinking overall, Tampa Bay has the base stealing advantage here. Excuse me. I also like the number of bats with a quality batting average for Tampa Bay against right-handed pitching more than I like Cleveland's bats against left-handed pitching. I'm seeing 3 guys for Cleveland batting 256 or better against left-handed pitching, whereas I'm seeing 5 projected starters for Tampa Bay with a 264 or better batting average against right-handed pitching. I like the run line trend that I saw there with Tampa Bay. I am concerned a little bit with with um, Cleveland being 7-3 at home with Bybee this season, but they did win four of those. They won four of those games by 2+ runs, but three of those games they only won by 1 run. As of right now, I'm gonna have to lean towards Tampa Bay, but once again, that can change. These starting lineups are so important. So, um, once again, I will post the picks that I'm leaning towards once I have a better idea of these starting lineups. But I still wanted to cover this stuff with you guys today. All right, let's move on. Atlanta at Miami. Atlanta is 5-1 in Monday road games. Miami is 2-7 in Monday home games. Atlanta has a 6-4 record against Miami this season. Miami has the best run line trend that I see in this game. They rank third on the run line after a win. The worst run line trend that I see is that Atlanta ranks 28th on the run line after a win. The projected pitchers here today are going to be Strider and Cabrera. All right. So Strider hasn't pitched against Miami this season. He is a right-handed pitcher. Uh, Atlanta has a 2-6 win-loss record with Strider on the road this season. They won both of those games by exactly 3 runs. They lost 4 out of the 6 games that they did lose on the road with Strider this season by 2+ runs. The other 2 games by exactly 1. Anytime I don't mention, let's say that for an example right here, Strider, the Braves have lost 6 games on the road with Strider this season. 4 of those games by 2+ runs. Anytime I say that, the other 2 games are only by 1 run, one run losses or 1 run wins. All right. Anyways, Atlanta is 1-0 in Monday road games with Strider. Atlanta is 3-1 against Miami when Strider pitches throughout his entire career. Average pitch count's been 91 this season, 89 in his last 5 games. Seeing that he's slightly worse against left-handed batters batting average, and he's about the same in regard to left-handed hitters and right-handed hitters hitting home runs. His walks per 9 innings is concerning. It's at 3.6 walks per 9 innings. However, Miami is below average with team walks per game. They rank 22nd in that category. I'm not going to be talking about home runs in this game, but Strider's home runs per 9 inning average is getting up there. It's at 1.7 home runs per 9 inning as well. What I will say is that if Miami does have base runners on, I think Miami's going to be able to attack these bases today. All right, because Strider's net bases prevented mark is at -4. Okay, which is bad in regards to allowing base runners advance on you through, pass balls and base stealing, right? And Miami ranks ninth in stolen bases per game, and Atlanta ranks 27th in stolen bases allowed per game. So if I'm Miami today, I'm really looking to attack those bases if I can get on. And Miami's got good batting averages in there today. They have 4 guys that are projected to start that are batting 250 or better against right-handed pitching. It'd be nice if Stowers and or Norby were in the lineup, but you know just uh, just watch out for Miami stealing some bases here in this one. Um, Maybe they won't steal a whole bunch, but I think they could get a couple, which could be the difference between winning and losing. All right. Uh, on the flip side here, um, we got Cabrera, right-handed pitcher for Miami. We talked about how poor Strider's net bases prevented mark is at -4. Well, Cabrera's is at -12. So he's much worse. He's one of the worst pitchers in the league in regards to this net bases prevented mark. So naturally, one would think Atlanta's going to have a big base stealing advantage. The thing is about Atlanta is that they don't steal as many bases as Miami. Atlanta ranks 25th in stolen bases per game. Okay. Um, and I just want to note that Miami does allow the most stolen bases per game out of any team this season. But just because of, well, I would just give Miami a slight base stealing advantage in this one. But man, if I'm Atlanta today too, man, I'm looking to attack the bases as well. Anyways, let's talk a little bit more about Cabrera here. He pitched at Atlanta on 8/8, so about what 17 days ago, and Miami did win that game 5-1. He had 8 innings pitched, 2 hits, only 2 hits allowed to this Atlanta team. One earned run, one home run, one walk, and 11 strikeouts. It's pretty impressive. Miami 6-6 at home with Cabrera this season. They won 2 games by 2+ runs, and they won 4 of the other games by exactly one. They lost 4 out of 6 of the games that they did lose at home with Cabrera this season by 2+ runs. Miami is 1-0 in Monday home games with Cabrera this season. Miami has a 2-3 record against Atlanta when Cabrera pitches against them throughout his career. Average pitch count's been 87 this season, 98 in his last 5 games. I'm seeing that he's about the same in regards to left-handed hitters and right-handed hitters batting average allowed, but he's been worse against right-handed batting average since 2023. And same with the home runs, except he's been worse against left-handed hitters hitting home runs since 2023. I'm not as concerned about Cabrera. Oh well, I kind of am. I don't really know who to give the walks advantage to. I would still probably give the walks advantage to Miami, although they rank 22nd in team walks per game. Atlanta's good at drawing walks. They rank third in team walks per game, but Cabrera's not at that 3.5 walks per 9 inning threshold quite yet. He's at 3.0, which is still, a bit of a concern because Atlanta's so good at drawing walks, but I would still have to give the walks advantage to Miami. Um, so I think the projected in regards to the projected lineups in this game, I think that Miami has more favorable batting averages against right-handed pitching than Atlanta does. So in that regard, I'm giving Miami the nod there. This line is really close at the book that I'm looking at right now. Um, we talked about these run line trends, but what happens when Miami becomes a home favorite, right? So let's just go look at that in case they do. Um, Miami as a home favorite, they are 3-11 on that run line. So I think there is a difference there, definitely. Um, it's the third worst on the run line as a home favorite, whereas Atlanta as a away underdog. Sorry if that's glaring, guys. I need to get a curtain for that. I'll set one up soon. Okay, so I know I say that every show, but I really will. Okay, so I was an away underdog. Atlanta is above average. They rank about, looks like about 10th or so. So do what you want with that information, but I'm still, looking towards Miami right now. But we'll see here in a little bit when I make that post. Leaning towards Miami here. All right, let's move on. All right. Washington and New York Yankees. Washington is 2-4 in Monday road games. The Yankees are 2-3 in Monday home games. The Yankees, I guess, have a better record, but they've played one less game. These teams haven't played each other this season. I'm not going to get into the on this day stuff for this one. It's kind of confusing. But some stuff has happened on this date in history. So, um, anyways, let's look at these run line trends. So, the Yankees have the most favorable run line trend and the biggest run line disadvantage. So, um, I'm just gonna kind of wash that out. They rank fourth, as a home favorite on the run line, but yet again, they ranked 25th on the run line after a win. And Blessed Up P brought up a good point with these run line trids there in chat. So, we look at the typical run line trends, right? But sometimes you could filter it by with rest disadvantage, um, or with no rest, 1 day off. Now, from my understanding, both of those teams did play yesterday, but technically, I mean, Washington probably has a rest advantage. Anyways, the Yankees, right? They played last night. Um, Now, that was in New York though, right? So they're not traveling today. Let me just double check. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, they're not traveling today, but they did play last night, but not as big of a disadvantage as Boston has traveling, right? After that game last night. Anyways, Lord is the projected starting pitcher here today for Washington. Brad Lord, right-handed pitcher versus Cam Schlittler, right-handed projected pitcher for the Yankees. Lord hasn't pitched against the Yankees this season. He was more of a relief pitcher until July 22nd versus Cincinnati. And since then, Washington has a 2-0 record, win loss, on the road with Lord this season. They won one of those games by exactly 2 runs, the other game by exactly 1 run. He's never pitched against the Yankees throughout his career. And then since 7/22, July 22nd, Washington is 1-0 in Monday road games with Lord pitching. His average pitch count was 37 this year, but it's been 91 in his last 5. So looks like this guy is really extending his pitch count. The last few games, I'll just talk about his pitch count a little bit: 92, 92, 86, 92. And I think it's extremely important for him to get to that mark again here today because Washington has the worst bullpen ERA in baseball. Um, I'm seeing that he's has a worse batting average against allowed to left-handed hitters. Also, he's worse against left-handed hitters hitting home runs. So if you do like a New York Yankee hitting a home run today, specifically a left-handed New York Yankee, not only do you have that going for you, but BaseballSavant.com does have this ballpark ranked sixth best for left-handed hitters to hit home runs in. Also, um, the wind seemed like it was blowing out towards right field a little bit. I think it was about 7 miles per hour. So we can double check. 7.3 to 9.9 miles per hour, which can give the ball a little bit of extra carry there for left-handed hitters. My only concern is that Lord hasn't been allowing a lot of home runs per 9 innings. It's at 0.7. So other than that, I think it's a great situation for a left-handed Yankee, but and typically I'll always find one concern about anything, right? I think there was only one time this year where everything just lined up on a Jose Ramirez home run, and it ended up, sailing over the wall. But um, I like everything in regards to a lefty hitting a home run today, except for the home runs per nine inning average. Yankees are good at drawing walks, but Lord's uh, walks per nine inning average is at 2.9. So I'd be more concerned if it was at 3.5 or higher. And then I'm just kind of interested, real quick. We're talking about left-handed hitters hitting home runs. I'm seeing that Grisham bats 270 batting average against right-handed pitchers, and then Rice batting 251. I know batting average doesn't really, it doesn't necessarily talk about how powerful a guy is. But if I'm picking a home run hitter, I kind of want somebody that has a better chance to hit the ball, right? So let's just look real quick, because Lord has a heavily used four seam fastball that he uses 52% of the time. So if we filter this by four seam fastball and go to New York Yankees, I want to know which out of these two players, Grisham or Rice, are slugging that at a better rate. So Grisham 570 slugging out of that four seamer, and then Rice is at 431. Love the Nats today outright, says Blessed Up Pete and Marlins. Cool, man. Uh, Appreciate that. Blessed Up P's giving you guys some plays that he likes. Yeah, man. So this isn't just all about me telling you guys what I like. I love it when you guys tell me what you guys like as well. Um, and I really run these shows so you guys don't have to do all the information, all the research. Also, you can combine our research together and put yourself in a more statistically favorable position than before the show. But yeah, thanks for those tips there, Blessed Up P. And then so Grisham slugging 570 off that four seamer, right? And then Rice only slugging 431. I do want to just look real quick into that second most used pitch that Lord uses, which is the 19% slider. And then we can just see, I'm hoping to see Grisham up here. Rice is only slugging 375 there. Grisham 286. So that's not the pitch that Grisham typically likes to see. But then 17% sinker. Ben Rice 679. Grisham not good 284. So I'm thinking Grisham's going to probably have to see that four seam fastball by Lord to get a home run, or to see a relief pitcher to get a home run. But that would be the guy that I'd be leaning towards today, Grisham to get a home run. Let's talk about Schlittler a little bit here. Schlittler hasn't pitched against Washington this season. The Yankees have a 1-3 win-loss record at home with Schlittler this season. They won that game by exactly 3, and then they lost all of their games at home with Schlittler by 2+ runs. He's never pitched against Washington in his career. The Yankees have an 0-1 record in Monday home games with Schlittler. Pitch count 89 throughout the season, 91 in his last 5. So I think it's really important for both of these pitchers to try to extend that pitch count as much as possible tonight, because both of their bullpen ERAs are below average. We already talked about how Washington has the worst bullpen ERA in baseball when I looked this morning, and now I'm seeing that the Yankees have the 23rd ranked bullpen ERA, so they're below average as well. I'm seeing that Schlittler is slightly worse against left-handed hitters hitting the ball, but he is worse against right-handed hitters hitting home runs. His home runs per 9 inning average is on the higher side of things here. It's at 1.5, and his walks per 9 innings is at 4.0. Net bases prevented is at 0. So I'm a little bit less concerned about Schlittler's high walks per nine inning average today because Washington is not good at drawing walks. They rank 27th. All right. Um, I still will give Washington a base stealing advantage in this game. Specifically, so both of them look like they're tied for 10th in stolen bases allowed per game. But Washington is slightly better at bases stolen per game. They rank seventh, whereas the Yankees rank 11th. Um, but also, Lord's net bases prevented mark is higher than Schlittler's. Long story short, I'm giving Washington a slight base stealing advantage in this game. How and where do you search for pitchers or team records day by day? Records for by days of the week. Seems like a nice edge to know. Yeah, man. So I have to manually. So AI would be nice, right? We talked about using AI last season, and that would be nice. That would save me a lot of time. But I'm kind of like I'm somewhat stubborn, and I somewhat just don't fully trust AI to give me exactly what I want all the time. I still need to get a little bit more comfortable with that, absolutely. But what I do, man, is I go into ESPN, go to go to the calendars, man, uh, and manually do it. So, I'm glad you asked because it takes me a lot of time to find that information. Um, a lot of this information. So that's what I do. I go into ESPN.com, look at the schedules and look at the game logs for each pitcher and get to work. So, but yeah, I definitely need to try to use AI for that. I don't trust AI, but it did give me a winning parlay for week 1 of preseason and a few UFC plays that hit nice. Copilot, cool. I'll have to check that out. Yeah, I used AI for football season last year, and I noticed that there were some errors. It was giving me information, but it wasn't 100% accurate. I try to like to be as accurate as possible with all this, but yeah, then again, also like to make the most of my time. So it's just kind of, what kind of product do I want to dish out here? But anyways, Schlittler technically he's worse against right-handed hitters hitting home runs. So, I mean, I'm not going to go into a player for Washington that could possibly hit a home run. I mean, Schlittler does. What I will say is he throws 59% of the time a four-seam fastball, which is a heavily relied on pitch, right? But if we filter that by nationals here, James Wood slugging that at a 549. I don't know if he's in the projected lineup today or not. Yeah, he is, and he's a lefty. Um, and Schlittler's not much worse, and there's honestly not like a huge sample size with Schlittler. So just if you were thinking Wood for a home run, you got a couple things working for you. Okay, that would probably be one of the guys that I'd be looking at if I was interested in a Nationals player here. Um, you know, it's tough to make a prediction without these starting lineups. But I think as of right now, I'm with you, blessed up P. I'm thinking Washington. Thinking Washington plus the 1.5. But I need to see more information, and then I'll make the post um, here in a little bit after the show on who I like. But right now, I'm leaning towards Washington just because of some of the things that we talked about. I think the base stealing advantage, and I like the amount of bats that are projected to bat against the right-handed Schlittler in regards to batting average for the Nationals, more than I like the batting averages that I see for the Yankees against the right-handed pitching Lord. Yeah, spread. My only problem with Washington, it's tough, is taking a team that has the worst bullpen ERA in baseball. I think bullpens are extremely important, but uh, the Yankees don't have the best bullpen ERA either. So yeah, let's just lean with Washington plus 1.5 right now, but I'll make a post later on with my official lean on that game. All right, so next one, Minnesota at Toronto. Looks like a lot of these home run games we're just talking about early because this is another favorable home run park for right-handed right-handed and left-handed hitters, okay? So Minnesota at Toronto. Minnesota is 2-6 in Monday road games, whereas Toronto is 3-1 in Monday home games. Toronto's 2-1 against Minnesota this season. Um, Toronto has the most favorable run line trend that I see here. They rank sixth on the run line after a loss, whereas Minnesota ranks 24th on the run line after a loss. All right. So Ryan is the projected pitcher today here for Minnesota, and he's right-handed pitcher versus Scherzer. So Ryan pitched versus Toronto on June 8th, and Minnesota did win that game 6-3. 5 innings pitched, 4 hits allowed, 2 earned runs, no home runs, 3 walks, and 6 strikeouts. But that was in Minnesota, right? Now Minnesota has a 6-6 win-loss record on the road with Ryan this season, and they won all of the games that they did win on the road with Ryan by 2+ runs. Uh, Now they did lose 4 of the games out of the 6 they lost on the road with Ryan pitching by 2+ runs. Minnesota is 1-0 in Monday road games with Ryan. I don't really know how much I like or dislike that statistic. It's not a big sample size, but I do just want to, it was pretty quick for me to find that. So I did want to just mention it. Maybe you find it extremely valuable. Minnesota is 3-0 against Toronto with Ryan pitching throughout his career. So they're undefeated, but that's a small sample size as well. 3-0. The Twins aren't the same Twins of June. No, Max pitching like the old Max. Yeah, yeah, and I really like Toronto's offense, man. They're a tough team to strike out. All of them typically have good batting averages. I think Toronto's a solid team. Anyways, average pitch count 88, 92 in his last 5 games, which is important because both of these bullpen ERAs are below average. Toronto does have the better bullpen ERA, though. They rank 17th. Minnesota ranks 22nd with the bullpen ERA. I'm seeing that Ryan is much worse against left-handed hitters batting against him this season in regards to batting average allowed, but slightly worse against right-handed hitters since 2023. I'm seeing that he's worse against left-handed hitters home runs this season, but worse against righties since 2023. So you can do whatever you want with that information. His home runs per 9 inning average is not alarming. It's at 1.1. Um, and his walks per 9 inning is not terrible either. But man, I know Toronto's not a big base stealing team, but if they were to be aggressive on the bases today, I think they could find some success because Ryan's net bases prevented number is at -10. Um, let's talk about Scherzer a little bit. He hasn't pitched against Minnesota this season. Toronto has a 4-2 win-loss record at home with Scherzer this season. They won one game by exactly 2 runs. So a lot of these games here with Toronto with Scherzer at home have been very close in the games that they have won, at least. And honestly, the games that they've lost. So they've had 6 games with Scherzer this season at home. Won 4 out of 6 of those games were decided by 1 run. So I don't think I think I'll probably be leaning towards Toronto in this game. We can talk about it here in just a second. But man, I am a little concerned about the run line just because these games have been close. With Scherzer at home. Toronto is 1-0 in Monday home games with Scherzer. Teams are 7-4 when Scherzer has pitched against Minnesota throughout his career. The teams that Scherzer has played for have a 7-4 record against Minnesota throughout Scherzer's career. I love that you're back doing lives, brother. You taught me a lot last season. That life carried on to this season and other sports. And what I love most, you don't have an ego on your shoulders like most, and you truly deep dive. I always feel confident or like on the better side of things. Hey, man, I appreciate the comment, man. Yeah, blessed up P. He's been a big supporter of mine since I've been doing this. Shoot, a little over a year now. I think a year and 4 months or something like that. And yeah, he's a great guy. If you don't know him, if you haven't connected with him, man, feel free to do so. And likewise, dude. You taught me a lot of things. I remember last season, and I was doing it a little bit this season. Blessed up, P. I was looking at RotoWire, um, batter versus pitching matchups, and then I looked about a week after I started doing baseball shows again, and I remember that you told me that Swish Analytics was the way to go. So, and you always have great insight and just just a positive vibe in chat. So, I appreciate you, man. Big shout out to Blessed Up P. Um, so yeah, teams are 7-4 when Scherzer has pitched against Minnesota throughout his career. 92 average pitch count in his last five, 83 for the season. I'm seeing that he's worse against right-handed batters batting average this season, slightly worse against left-handed hitters batting average since 2023. He's about the same in regards to lefties and righties hitting home runs. Scherzer's home runs per 9 inning average is on the higher side this season. It's at 1.7. Okay. I'm just a little concerned about, who on this Minnesota teams can hit a home run here today. Now, they do have a good ballpark, and I don't want to, look into home runs. I feel like we've been doing that a lot here, but I do just want to take a look real quick at Minnesota. Scherzer, 47% of the time is throwing a four-seam fastball. So let's look at the Twins here. Who's slugging good off of that? Brooks Lee, Jeffers, and are these guys projected to start today? Jeffers and Lee are. So those are probably guys that I would probably look at first and foremost if I were looking for a Minnesota Twin to hit a home run. Um, and then there's also that batter versus pitcher matchups history that you can look at if you're interested in that. Swish Analytics is the place to go for that, I feel like. And then on the flip side, Ryan, 52% of the time, throws a four seam fastball. That's his most used pitch as well. So both of these pitchers like to rely on that four seamer. And when I look at the Blue Jays slugging percentage, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., 579 against that four seam. He's also batting 296 batting average against right-handed pitching. So just based on that alone, I'm not going to look at the batter versus pitcher matchups. You guys can, feel free to do that if you'd like to. I do think it is important, just for time purposes. I'm not going to be looking into that, but just off the fly, man, that would be the way I would be looking is VJG or VGJ hit a home run. All right. I like the amount of bats in regards to batting average. I mean, there's four guys for Toronto that are batting 296 or better against right-handed pitching this season. When I looked this morning, okay, Vladimir Guerrero, Kirk, Bichette, and Springer, and those guys are projected to start today. So right now, you know, in Minnesota, only has two guys, Larnick and Buxton. Larnick's batting 258 off right-handed pitching. Buxton's batting 266. So I'm seeing a lot more quality bats here for the Blue Jays. I'm going to be leaning towards the Blue Jays in this one. I am a little concerned on that run line, but as of right now, I'm going to be leaning towards them to hit that -1.5. But I'll make my official pick, my official lean in that game here in a little bit once I have the lineup confirmations. All right, Philadelphia and New York Mets. His addition on the projected lineup, I think he was out last few games. Addition. Addition. Addison. Oh no, it's okay. Um, I don't see Addison. No. For Minnesota, I'm seeing nobody of that by that name in the projected starting lineup. Once again, I like to use rotowire.com, guys, for lineup confirmations, projected lineups. I think they do the best job. But you may have a source that you like more than that. But that's the one that I've looked at for the past several years. So I think they do a great job. Okay. Um, Philadelphia and New York Mets. Philadelphia has a 3-3 win-loss record in Monday road games, whereas the Mets have a winning 5-2 record in Monday home games. The Mets are 4-2 against Philadelphia this season. Um, Run line trends, I see basically the same. I would give a slight advantage to Philadelphia though, just because Philadelphia ranks 20th on the run line after a win. The Mets rank 22nd on the run line after a loss. But let's look into the games a little bit here. Mm. Um, the game a little bit here. Okay, so Sanchez, left-handed pitcher, is projected to pitch for Philadelphia today. He pitched in this environment earlier this season on April 22nd, and the Mets won that game 5-1. Um, 2 innings pitched, 4 hits allowed, 2 earned runs, 0 home runs, 2 walks, and 2 strikeouts. Oh, okay, yeah, Barger. Um, yeah, and he's batting 257 off of right-handed pitching. Barger is projected to be in that lineup, and he's, from my understanding, is one of the better home run hitters on that Toronto Blue Jays team. He is. I like him. I think I was calling for him to get a home run in a show earlier this, I think a couple shows ago, and he ended up getting one. Mets own Phillies won like 7 straight at Citi Field going back to NLDS. Wow. See, I didn't know that coming in. I look at so much stuff. I don't have time to necessarily look at stuff like that. So I'm glad you mentioned it. Um, that's that's awesome, dude. I know that you love it more than anybody. Um, Sanchez pitched at New York Mets on 4/22, and the Mets won that game 5-1. We already talked about that. Philadelphia has an 8-6 record on the road with Sanchez this season. They won 6 of those games by 3+ runs, and then they lost 4 of those games by 2+ runs. Philadelphia is 1-2 in Monday road games with Sanchez. Philadelphia is 5-6, so a losing record against the Mets when Sanchez pitches throughout his career. Average pitch count for Sanchez has been 90, and I think it's important for him to get up to that mark again today because um, the Phillies have the 23rd ranked bullpen ERA, so it's near the bottom of the league. But yeah, average pitch count for Sanchez has been 91 this season, 90 in his last 5 games. Much worse against right-handed hitters hitting the baseball. Um, And then much worse versus right-handed hitters hitting home runs as well. This guy doesn't throw a lot of home run balls, though. Only 0.6 home runs per 9 innings is average. He's not walking a ton of guys either. Uh, Sanchez has good numbers against the Mets. Maybe strikeouts versus the Mets might be good. Senga hasn't pitched against Philadelphia this season. The Mets are eight. They have an 8-2 record at home with Senga this season. They won 6 of those games by 2+ runs. They lost one of those games by exactly 2 runs. So they haven't lost. In the 10 games that Senga's pitched at home this season for the Mets, only one time did the Mets lose the game by 2+ runs. I know some of you like to move that run line around a little bit. Well, the Mets, as a home underdog, would be +1.5. Um, 9 out of 10 times, and I guess you wouldn't have to move the run line in this case, but 9 out of the 10 games that they've played at Senga with at home with Senga this season, they've only lost. They've you know what I'm trying to say here. They've only lost one of those games by 2+ runs, and it was by exactly two. So I think that alone is valuable. Mets are 2-0 in Monday home games with Senga. They're 2-1 with Senga against Philadelphia throughout his career. 84 pitch count for Senga in his last 5 games. I'm seeing he's about the same in regards to home runs allowed to lefties and righties, but he is worse since 2023 against righties. I am a little concerned about Senga walking guys today. His walks per 9 inning average is at 4.3. And Philadelphia is above average at drawing walks per game. Although Philadelphia is a good base stealing team, the Mets are good at base stealing prevention. The Mets rank second best in stolen bases allowed per game. Now, the Phillies do rank seventh in stolen bases per game, but it really makes me want to look at Senga's net bases prevented number, which is at 1, which is respectable. So I don't think Philadelphia can absolutely. Let's say Philadelphia was going up against maybe the Marlins today. I think Philadelphia could really attack those bases against that Cabrera, but I'm a little bit less concerned in this situation against Senga. Um, Stolen bases per game. Yeah, I would have to just give a slight edge here to probably the Mets in regards to stolen bases. Uh, Something. He a walk machine, especially in cold weather. Now, something that I am concerned about is the Mets' overall batting average. I'm not seeing that McNeil or Mullins is in this projected starting lineup for the Mets today, which I think is a big problem because McNeil's batting 304, which is the best on the team. 304 off of left-handed pitching, and Mullins is batting 294. So those are their top 2 guys against left-handed pitching, not projected to be in this starting lineup. So the next guys you have in line that are good against left-handed pitching in regard to batting average are Marte at 267 and Beatty at 258. So I do find that concerning. And on the flip side, man, this Philadelphia team is loaded with um, some good batting averages against right-handed pitching. Real Muto 304 against right-handed pitching. Turner 303. Bohm 282. Marsh 274. Castellanos 263. Stott 256 and Harper 252. So um, Soto for a steal. The Mets don't get caught stealing. They must steals and have uh, they, uh, they the most steals and been caught stealing the fewest. Oh, that's cool, man. That's a good statistic to know. Who's been caught stealing the least? Yeah, Yeah. So there's definitely other things to look at than what I typically talk about on these shows. I'm glad you brought in that information for everybody as well. Thank you. Um, so yeah, Mullins isn't projected to be in the starting lineup. Blessed up piece. So I think I'm gonna have to see him and or McNeil for me to lean towards the Mets in this game. As of right now, I'm just concerned. I do see some good things about the Mets. By all means, if you like the Mets today, guys, I don't see enough as of right now that makes me want to steer anybody away from that. But as of right now, um, I'm leaning towards Philadelphia -1.5. But I'll make my official pick here later on once we get some starting lineups. All right, and we got the Royals and White Sox. Kansas City is 4-3 in Monday road games. The White Sox are 2-5 in Monday home games. Kansas City has a whopping 8-2 record against the White Sox this season. McNeil. On this day in 2020, Giolito, he pitched for the White Sox at that time. He's with Boston now. But he threw a no-hitter against Pittsburgh's White Sox. Have that going for them as far as what has happened historically on this day in history. So that was 5 years ago. Mets need to win this series by they 7 games behind the Phillies with more games to come in September. I hear you. That's definitely probably not going to be a game that I target personally. That Phillies and Mets game, and I'll be rooting for you, man. I'll be rooting for your Mets to get the job done. Absolutely, man. And yeah, dude. I'm glad you brought that up because we are reaching a time in baseball now where games are. I mean, every game supposedly means the most or means the same, right? But honestly, these games are becoming more and more important in regards to playoff formatting. So there's what, maybe about 30 games left for each team, right about that. So it's getting to the fun time of the year. Absolutely. Um, anyways, the White Sox have the best run line record in baseball after a win. The Royals have the 24th ranked run line record after a win. So that's the most favorable run line trend that I see is with Chicago White Sox here. And the worst run line trend that I see between these two teams is that the Royals after a win. Cameron, left-handed pitcher, that's projected to pitch for the Royals today. Pitched versus the White Sox on August 15th, and the Royals won that game 3-1. He did allow 6 hits, but only 1 earned run, 1 home run, 2 walks, and 2 strikeouts through 5.1 innings. Excuse me. The Royals have a 3-5 record on the road with Cameron this season. They did win those 3 games by 2+ runs, all of them. And then they lost 3 out of the 5 games that they lost on the road with Cameron this season by 2+ runs. Average pitch count's been 87 this season. Um, I'm seeing that he's much worse against right-handed hitters' batting average. So if you guys like a right-handed Chicago White Sox to get a hit today, you got that going for you. I'm seeing he's about the same in regard to lefties and righties, hitting home runs off of him. His walks per 9 inning and home runs per 9 inning average isn't concerning to me. Let's look at Smith here. Right-handed pitcher is projected to pitch today for the White Sox. Shane Smith pitched at Kansas City on on May 5th, and Kansas City won that game 3-0. He allowed 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 0 home runs, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts through 5 innings pitched. The White Sox are 1-9 at home when Smith pitches this season. 1-9. So if you like the Royals today, you got that working with you. Also, we mentioned that the Royals are 8-2 against the White Sox this season. Now, what I will say is that the White Sox lost the 7 out of the 9 games that they lost at home with Smith this season. 7 of those games they lost by 2+ runs. So that you got that working for you. If you were thinking about the Royals on the run line today, his average pitch count has been lower than Cameron's, not just throughout the season, but throughout his last 5 as well. It's been at 72 in his last 5. So I do think that the White Sox will probably have to tap into their 14th ranked bullpen ERA before the Royals tap into their 7th ranked bullpen ERA. So the Royals not only have an advantage in regard to that, but they have a bullpen advantage just when looking at ERA. I'm seeing that Smith is worse against left-handed hitters in regards to batting average, and much worse versus left-handed hitters hitting home runs. I mean, immediately I'm thinking Pasquantino here for the Royals. I think this dude has hit a home run in his last 50 games. No, um, I'm joking, but it feels like that. I mean, seriously, how many times has this guy hit a home run? One, 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4, 4 out of 5, 5 out of 6, 6 out of his last 7 games. Pasquantino's hit a home run. I'm not going to look at his history, batter versus pitcher history here, but this is a favorable ballpark for left-handed hitters to hit home runs. It ranks 5th on BaseballSavant.com. Smith is much worse against left-handed hitters hitting home runs against him. Um, in case Pasquantino doesn't get one against him, Chicago's bullpen isn't extremely great in regards to bullpen ERA. It's about average. And then Smith throws 43% of the time this season. He's thrown a four-seam fastball. I'll look real quick to see what Pasquantino's slugging off of that. 572. So that's good. Um, and just yeah. So that would be immediately somebody that if I was looking for a home run hitter in this game, that I'd be looking for. Good old Pasquatch. Also, winds are blowing towards center field at approximately 7.6 to 8 miles per hour, according to SwishAnalytics.com. The last time I updated it, so I think you got some good things going for you today in regards to a potential Pasquantino home run. I am interested in the history. I just want to know real quick if he does have a home run off of him. He does not. 3 at bats, 0 hits. So that's a small sample size. So do what you want with that information. Anyways, I would have to lean towards the Royals in this game. I'm concerned about the White Sox ranking first on the run line after they win a baseball game. All right. Um, Now to combat that, I know Kansas City does have a 3-5 losing record at home with Cameron pitching this season, but they did win all 3 of those games by 2+ runs. Um, and the White Sox are 1-9 at home with Smith this season. I like the batting averages for the Royals against the right-handed Smith more than I like the White Sox against the left-handed Cameron. I'll just have to see a little bit more information before I make, my official picks, which I'll post to my socials. I know I keep saying that, but I just want to, clarify that for you guys. Um, This show that I'm doing now is extremely early in the day. Uh, but right now I'm just gonna lean with the Royals minus the 1.5. How many games do we have left here? 4, 6. I'm gonna try to go through this as quickly as possible, guys. I will be looking at all this information after the show. So that's really what my picks are based off of. It's not necessarily what I think is going to happen or what I want to happen, but just based on the numbers that I'm talking about, all the information that I'm gathering throughout the day. Statistically speaking, those are the picks that I post to my socials. Okay. Arizona and Milwaukee. Arizona's 4-2 in Monday road games. Milwaukee's 6-4 in Monday home games. Arizona has a 2-1 record against Milwaukee this season. The most favorable run line trend that I see is Milwaukee ranks seventh best in baseball after a loss. The worst run line trend that I see is that Arizona ranks 29th, so second worst on the run line after a loss. Rodriguez is the projected pitcher versus Woodruff. Rodriguez is a left-handed pitcher for Arizona that's projected to pitch today, and he pitched versus Milwaukee on April 11th, and Milwaukee won that game 7-0. He allowed 6 hits, 2 earned runs, no home runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts through 6.1 innings. Arizona has a 6-6 record on the road with Rodriguez this season. They won 5 of those games by 2+ runs. They lost 3 games out of the 6. They did lose on the road with Rodriguez by 4+ runs. The other 3 games they lost by exactly one. Um, Teams are 1-2 against Milwaukee that Rodriguez has pitched for throughout his career when he pitches against Milwaukee. So a losing record, career wise, for teams that Rodriguez has pitched for against Milwaukee. I'm seeing that he's much worse versus left-handed hitters batting average this season, but slightly worse against righty since 2023. And the reason really why I mention that is in case there's a pitcher that doesn't have a big sample size this season. Let's say there's a guy that has only pitched 2 games this season. I would be a little bit more comfortable at looking at the information of what he did in back in 2023 instead of what he's doing this season, right? Um, I'm seeing that he's about the same in regards to allowing home runs off lefties and righties. His walks per 9 inning average is at that 3.5 threshold, which is a cause for concern, especially because Milwaukee ranks second in stolen bases per game. Okay. Also, if you do like a home run hitter today for Milwaukee, I'm not going to be talking about it, but it's possible. Rodriguez has a 1.6 home runs per 9 inning average, which is on getting up there. Um, it's getting on that high side. Also, Arizona has the 26th ranked bullpen ERA. So there's only a handful of teams that have a worse bullpen ERA than Arizona. I think there will be plenty of opportunity for Milwaukee to hit a home run in this game, but I'm not going to be talking about it because it's really just not. From my understanding, on that Park Factors website that I like to look on, it's not one of the most favorable. I don't know what it ranks. It didn't rank in the top 10 for righties or lefties, so I didn't look at it. But maybe it ranks 11th. Who knows? Um, but his net bases prevented number is at 0, which is not good nor bad. Arizona does rank 16th in stolen bases allowed per game, so I do think there's a good opportunity for the Milwaukee Brewers to steal some bases tonight. Okay. I already added Rodriguez as a parlay price for 2 earned runs. Line was high, like -170. I believe I took it early this morning. Nice. I could definitely see that happening, man. Something else that we haven't really talked about, guys, is you can look at rotowire.com. You can use another source if you would like to. I don't know how accurate or how up to date RotoWire is with all of their information, but I do feel like it gets me in that general ballpark where I need to be, which is why I like to use it. But something that you can look at as well is not just how Rodriguez is against left-handed batters or right-handed batters, but also what are his home and away splits? Is he significantly worse at home, or worse on the road when he pitches? And that can go for any pitcher. I think blessed up he it was last season. I want to say it was Sanchez or one of those Phillies pitchers that didn't allow a home run at home. I think you brought it up for like 10 games, his first 10 games or so of the season. It was something ridiculous. So um, it looks like that Rodriguez is slightly worse. Well, his whip is worse on the road this season. So anyways, yeah, I did want to mention that, you guys, you can look at the home away pitching splits because that can make a big difference too. All right. So Woodruff hasn't pitched against Arizona this season. Milwaukee is 4-0 on the money line at home with Woodruff pitching this season. They won one of those games by exactly 7 runs, and then they won the other three by exactly 1 run. So that's what concerns me a little bit with Milwaukee on this run line here today. Um, I would feel much better on that money line, but I'm sure it's heavily juiced. It's just kind of up to you if you're willing to pay that price or not. But Milwaukee is 5-1 against Arizona when Woodruff pitches against them throughout his career. Pitch count 82 in his last five, 78 throughout the season. I think it's way more important for Rodriguez to try to reach a higher pitch count than Woodruff because of the bullpen ERAs. Once again, Arizona ranks 26th. Milwaukee ranks 10th. I'm seeing that Woodruff is worse versus right-handed hitters in regards to batting average allowed. He's slightly worse against right-handed hitters hitting home runs. His walks per 9 inning isn't concerning. His home runs per 9 inning average is at 1.4, which is getting up there, but it's not as high as Rodriguez's 1.6. Net bases prevented is at -2, which is a cause for concern. But Arizona is about average. They rank 15th in stolen bases per game. Milwaukee overall does a good job at limiting stolen bases. But this is probably a pitcher that they may have a little bit of problem with allowing stolen bases. And the only reason why I say that is because the net bases prevented is at -2, which isn't terrible, but I am a little concerned that Arizona might be able to steal a base or two in this game. Um, but overall, I still give Milwaukee that base stealing advantage, and I like the bats that are projected to, you know, honestly, this game is going to be. I'm going to lean with Milwaukee right now, but that could very well change, man. Lean Brewers right now. Once again, I don't have starting lineups and stuff, guys, but that could change. Really just because of the 4-0 record at home with Woodruff pitching, and he's 5-1 against Arizona, or Milwaukee's 5-1 against Arizona when Woodruff pitches against him throughout his career. Uh, I think that the batting averages against the hand that the opposing pitchers are pitching with are pretty equal in this game. I think they're pretty equal. I would give Milwaukee a slight advantage though. And I give Milwaukee the bullpen. I think the question is Milwaukee going to win this game by 2+? You know, so. But I'll make a post here in just a bit. Okay, we got what 5 games left to talk about. What are we at 135? Okay, try to get through this as quick as possible here. Pittsburgh at St. Louis. Pittsburgh's 2-6 in Monday road games. St. Louis is 6-2 in Monday home games. Pittsburgh has a 5-4 record against St. Louis this season. On this day in 1986, Mark McGuire, he did play for the Athletics at the time, but I grew up watching Mark McGuire, um, and on this day in 1986, Mark McGuire hit his first career home run. Um, Pittsburgh has the most favorable run line trend here that I see. They rank sixth on the run line after a win. They also have the worst run line trend that I see here. So they rank 27th on the run line after as a road underdog. So I don't. I'm not going to look into the run line trends too much for this one. Um, Oviedo is the projected pitcher for Pittsburgh today. He's a right-handed pitcher. He has not pitched against St. Louis this season, and he hasn't pitched in a road game this season. Uh, Pittsburgh has a losing 2-3 record against St. Louis when Oviedo pitches against St. Louis throughout his career. I don't know if he started on all those games. He may have just thrown one pitch, but anytime he's played against St. Louis throughout his career, Pittsburgh's 2-3. Average pitch count's been 59 in his last 5 games, and it's been 59 throughout the season, which I think is a major red flag because Pittsburgh. Well, I thought their bullpen ERA was ranked worse. I wouldn't say a major red flag, but I would say a red flag. Their bullpen ERA ranks 20th, so it is below average compared to the St. Louis sixth ranked bullpen ERA. When you're done with the rest of the game, can you check Rodriguez walk, please? The last 10 and versus Brewers and Sanchez, Phillies pitcher road record. Yeah, for sure, man. Um, and I'll just go ahead and do that here in just a second. Let me just finish this game up real quick. Worst batting average versus right-handed hitters hitting home runs. Well, you know what, blessed up, Pete. Let me just go ahead and stop what I'm doing right now, man, because I appreciate the comments and chat, and I'm gonna address those until. I mean, I've done shows on other platforms where the comments were just moving super fast, and I couldn't. I'm just one person. I couldn't address every question, but I've been kind of doing a new thing here with the Not Move podcast. So um, let's go ahead and address your questions real quick. So I'm on this game. Can you check Rodriguez walks his last 10? Yeah. Um, we talked about how his walks per 9 inning average was at 3.5, right? But in his last 10 games, let me just read you the game logs here that I'm seeing here on rotowire.com. 3 walks in his last outing. 1, 5, 3, 2, 3, 2, 0, 3, 2, 3. So, you know, um, looks like he's pretty much walking 3 batters a game or every other game or so. His last 10. I mean, and if you needed an average, all right, let me see if I can get my calculator here. So we can do an average here, right? 3 plus 1 plus 5 plus 3 plus 2. Let's quit doing that. Plus 2 and 3 plus 1. 2 plus 3 plus 2 plus 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Plus 3 plus 2. 24 divided by 10. So 2.4 walks is his average in his last 10 games. And then versus Brewers and Sanchez. Phillies pitcher road record. Oh, and versus Brewers. In that game against Milwaukee, he allowed 2 walks against Milwaukee on April 11th this season. And something else that we can do here. I mean, we can steer away from the normal stuff that I cover. Milwaukee Brewers versus Arizona on 4/11. We can just go look in that box score real quick. And I'm just looking to see if Milwaukee stole any bases in this game or not. Looks like a couple guys advanced on a passed ball that Rodriguez threw in the 5th inning. Other than that, doesn't look like Milwaukee really stole any bases against him. Milwaukee did win that game. Okay, yeah, Ortiz stole a base off of Rodriguez, but Joey Ortiz isn't projected to be in the starting lineup today. Frelick, it looks like Frelick stole a base off of him. Stole third base off of him. And Frelick is projected to be in the starting lineup today. So, okay, in versus Brewers. Okay, in Sanchez, Phillies pitcher road record. Pitcher walks, yeah. And Milwaukee ranks 5th best. And when I looked this morning, they rank 5th best in team walks drawn per game. And then, yeah, let's go ahead and look at. Now, if you wanted Sanchez's road record, so hold on. What I will say is that the Phillies have an 8-6. The Phillies, it's not Sanchez's road record, right? Because they, the wins and losses for pitchers are, as you know, are categorized differently than a team's win and loss record with that pitcher. So a team could be a perfect, 8-0 on the road when a certain pitcher pitches, but if he only pitches 3 innings, then it's not considered as a win for him, right? But the Phillies have an 8-6 record on the road with Sanchez this season. Now with win loss, 0-1. Oh, excuse me. Let me do something here. Boom, boom. Okay. Win loss, 1-0. And I'm sure I can find a filter that tells me this easily, but I'm just going to manually do it, so I don't have to look around. 1-0, 0-1, 2-1, 3-1, 3-2, 4-2, 5-2, 5-3, 6-3, 6-4. Looks like it's 6-4. Sanchez's specific win loss record on the road. But the Phillies are 8-6 on the road with him. Hope that helps you out, man. I hope that was the information you were looking for. Um, we were talking about this Pittsburgh and St. Louis game. Oviedo, the pitcher for Pittsburgh's walks per nine inning average is extremely high. It's at 6.0 walks per nine innings. But St. Louis is slightly below average with team walks per game. They rank 21st. Also, St. Louis ranks 21st in stolen bases per game. Pittsburgh is above average in stolen bases allowed per game. I wasn't able to find Oviedo's net bases prevented, but let me change my filters real quick and maybe, um, maybe it'll tell me now. Oviedo. It looks like his net bases prevented mark is at 0. It is. So Oviedo isn't terrible with the pickoff move or runners advancing on him. All right, so McGreevy hasn't pitched against Pittsburgh this season. St. Louis has a 3-3 record at home with McGreevy this season. They won one of those games by exactly 5 runs. They lost 2 games by 4+ runs. Hasn't pitched in a Monday home game this season. I'm seeing his average pitch count is 86. I think it's much more important for Oviedo to reach 59 is his average. Once again, Oviedo's average pitch count. I think it's important for him to not only get to that mark today, but maybe get a little bit higher because of that 20th ranked Pittsburgh bullpen ERA. St. Louis ranks 6th in bullpen ERA. McGreevy worse against left-handed hitters in regard to batting average allowed, and worse against left-handed hitters hitting home runs. His walks per 9 inning average and home runs per 9 inning average is not alarming to me. I am probably going to have to lean towards St. Louis in this game for several reasons that we've talked about. I also like the number of bats that they have that have a decent batting average against right-handed pitching, more so than I do Pittsburgh's. Okay, so my pre-lean in this one is going to be St. Louis on that run line. Money line is minus 184. The Brewers one. So if we're talking about money line, I think something that's important to look at is um, switching over from the run line trends and looking at the win loss trends as well, which is something that I used to do on the shows last season, or last year, I should say. So Milwaukee after a loss and Arizona after a loss. We're just talking about win loss, right? Win loss record. Milwaukee um, ranked 6th best in baseball on the money line after a loss, whereas Arizona ranks 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 24th on the money line after a loss. Arizona as a road underdog. So just with that trend, Milwaukee has the advantage. And then Arizona as a road dog on the money line, looks like they're about average. They're 16 and 19, so they're actually, let me give you a specific number here, 9, 12. They rank 13th on the money line, 13th best on the money line as an away underdog. Milwaukee as a home favorite ranks 2nd best in baseball, 32 and 14. Combined with the fact that Milwaukee is undefeated with Woodruff at home this season, they're 4-0. And the fact that Milwaukee has a 5-1 record against Arizona when Woodruff pitches against Arizona throughout his career. I think you got those things working for you. We did talk about how although Milwaukee's 4-0 at home with Woodruff pitching, only one of those games they won by exactly 7 runs. The other 3 were by exactly 1 run. So sorry if that glare is bad. I promise, guys, I will get a something to cover that up with. But um, it's just all up to you about if you think it's worth it or not. I think I think it, I would feel more comfortable playing Milwaukee on the money line than the run line. Um, I'm gonna have to still lean with them towards the run line as well. I think I think I think uh, it's a decent spot. I still need to see some more information before I say that I like it, right? But I think it looks good as of now. If you're willing to pay that price. Um, Angels in Texas. So Soriano. Let me just cover this game real quick. How many games do we have left? And I also got to check. Sorry, guys. I think there's some other guys that are talking about some stuff here in just a second. I hope I'm not cutting into their time. I apologize to the fellow Not Move podcast members if I am, and I'll go ahead and end the live. But I want to make sure that I'm not cutting into your guys' stuff here. Okay, I don't see anything on the schedule. Uh, so hopefully I'm not, guys. But if I am, my apologies, and I'll try to get through this quick. How many more games do we have left? And I gotta start closing some of these tabs that I have open. We got 5 games left, or 4 games. Okay. So I'm just gonna try to, talk about stuff that is important. Once again, I'm gonna post once I have more information. I know I keep saying this, but I'm gonna post the leans that I have to my social media pages. Once I have more information, and I'm just gonna tell you some stuff that sticks out to me for the rest of these games. Not gonna go in depth as we did on the other ones, just for time's sake. We've been on the air for almost 2 hours now. Okay, so Soriano, right-handed pitcher, was just he's the right-handed projected pitcher for the Angels today. He was just reinstated from the paternity list on yesterday. So looks like he just had a newborn. So maybe he comes out firing tonight. Okay. Now he's pitched against Texas 3 times this season, and Texas won every single one of those games by 2+ runs. He allowed 10 hits against Texas on his first outing this season, and then 3 hits the second outing, 5 hits the third outing. The Angels do have an 8-4 record with Soriano pitching on the road this season. They lost all of those games by 2+ runs, and let me see something. Um, oh, it's all good, man. But hopefully you caught the information that I relayed to you. But I am a little concerned about Soriano's walks per 9 inning average, but Texas isn't good at drawing team walks per game. Texas is good at stealing bases, but Soriano is very good at base stealing prevention. So I know some of you may think tonight, Texas, you see that they rank fifth best in stolen bases per game, and the Angels rank only average in stolen bases allowed per game. But specifically, Soriano is good at holding base runners from advancing. Texas does have the best run line record in baseball as a home favorite. Texas is 9-3 at home with DeGrom pitching this season. They won 6 of those games by 2+ runs. The other 3, they only won by 1 run. I'm just looking over stuff, guys, that and I'm gonna mention it if it stands out to me. The Angels are not a fast base stealing. They're not fast on the bases. They rank 27th in stolen bases per game. But if I am the Angels, I'm looking to possibly steal a few more bases tonight against DeGrom since his net bases prevented mark is at -3 and Texas as a team is below average in stolen bases allowed per game. As of right now, I think Texas looks like the better side. I still need to see more information, but right now I'm going to lean towards Texas on that run line, -1.5. What I will say is that the Angels they do have a 5-1 record in Monday road games, and once again Soriano was just reinstated from the paternity list yesterday. San Diego and Seattle. Seattle's 3-0 against San Diego this season. The most favorable run line trend, San Diego ranks sixth best in baseball on the run line as a road underdog. Seattle ranks second worst in baseball on the run line after a win. Um, Sears used to pitch for the Athletics earlier this season. He pitched at Seattle earlier this season when he was with the Athletics. Seattle won that game by 2-1, and then he pitched versus Seattle um, just not too long ago, about a month ago, and Seattle won that game 3-1. So low scoring, close games when Sears pitched against them when he was with the Athletics. Um, um, Teams that Sears has pitched for are 2-9 against Seattle when he pitches against Seattle throughout his entire career. And so nine games in a row that Sears has pitched in a game against Seattle, 9 times in a row his team has lost. Um, so Sears once again projected pitcher today for San Diego 9 times in a row. When he pitches against Seattle, his team has lost. Home runs per 9 inning average is creeping up there for Sears, 1.8 home runs per 9 innings. Miller, right-handed projected pitcher for Seattle tonight. Seattle's 3-2 at home with Miller this season. They won 2 games by exactly 2 runs. They lost both games by 2+ runs. Both of these bullpen ERAs are above average, but San Diego does have the best bullpen ERA in baseball. Seattle ranks 12th. I'm I'm a little concerned about Miller walking guys tonight. San Diego is slightly above average when I looked this morning. And team walks drawn per game, they rank 14th. And Miller's walks per 9 inning average is 4.2 walks per 9 innings. I think this could be a good spot if you were thinking about walks. Also, if I'm San Diego, I'm looking to steal more bases tonight if needed. Miller is not good at holding, preventing that. That net bases prevented chart, they have him at -7, which is very bad. San Diego ranks 18th in stolen bases per game. Seattle ranks 20th in stolen bases allowed per game. But I think tonight it's more like Seattle ranks, you know, 28th, 29th in stolen bases allowed per game. So if I'm San Diego, if I need to, I'm looking to attack those bases a little bit more tonight. Um, I think I'm going to lean towards Seattle still, though, in this game. I just can't, I can't get past the fact that teams that Sears has played for have lost their last 9 games when he's pitched against Seattle. I can't go with San Diego tonight just because of that reason. Now, all the other things kind of make me like San Diego more here in this spot, except that, and that's a pretty big deal. So I'm gonna lean right as of right now. It could change, but I'm gonna lean towards Seattle -1.5, I suppose. I just can't. I just can't go with San Diego tonight. It's not that I really like Seattle. It's just that I just don't like that they've lost those 9 games in a row. Um, Whichever team Sears pitched for lost 9 in a row against Seattle. All right, got 2 games left. Detroit Athletics. We already talked about how Mark McGwire hit his first career home run on this day in 1986. Athletics have the most favorable run line trend. They rank 8th best after a loss, whereas Detroit has the worst run line trend. They rank 23rd on the run line after a loss. Skubal pitched versus the Athletics. That game was in Detroit. Detroit ended up winning the game 11-4 earlier this season, but Skubal actually allowed 4 earned runs, 6 hits, 2 home runs. Now Detroit does have an 8-3 record with Skubal on the road, and they won 5 out of 8 of those games by 2+ runs. They lost every single game by exactly 1 run. So that was something interesting that I really saw here in this one. I know some of you like to, even though Detroit's -1.5, I know some of you may like to take them +1.5 and stack some plays. I think this is a spot worth looking at simply because um, Skubal has pitched on the road 11 times this season, and not one of those times has Detroit lost by 2+ runs. Now, the sun shines on a blank blank every now and then, but statistically speaking, that's a pretty if that's what you like to do. I'm not saying that that's what I like to do. Not saying, but um, what I'm saying is that's a good spot if you're looking for a spot to do that. And here we go. Just statistically speaking. Um, Now, from my understanding, you guys can do your own information. If you're looking for a home run hitter in this game, you know, from my understanding, this ballpark is decent for home run hitters for either if you're a left-handed hitter or a right-handed hitter. What I'm seeing here, although Skubal's home runs per 9 inning average isn't high, he is much worse against right-handed hitters hitting home runs. So I think if you're thinking about taking a athletic here today for a home run, the right-handed hitters probably the way to go. On the flip side, Jin, the projected pitcher for the Athletics, is much worse, or not much worse, but he is worse against left-handed hitters hitting home runs, and much worse against left-handed hitters batting average in that regard. Um, Jin pitched at Detroit earlier this season. He did not start in that game, and that was on June 26th. And Detroit ended up winning that game 8-0. He allowed 4 hits through 2 innings. So Jin's pitch count's been 78 in his last 5 games. It's been 61 throughout his season, and I think it's important for him to get up there again tonight because the Athletics have the third worst bullpen ERA when I looked this morning. So I think there's a good chance we see some of that Athletics bullpen working a little bit earlier than some of these other teams tonight. I like the amount of bats in regards to batting average against right-handed pitching that Detroit has than than the Athletics match up against the left-handed Skubal. But I will say though, man, is that Langoliers, Wilson, and Rooker, who are all projected to start, are batting 320 or better off of left-handed pitching. So that is scary. Um, if you're thinking about Detroit tonight, now Detroit, their top guy against right-handed pitching is Riley Green, who's batting 288 against right-handed pitching. I mean, but there's three guys once again for the Athletics batting 320 or better against left-handed pitching. I would still have to lean towards Detroit in this one for the time being, but that could change. Detroit minus 1.5, but that could change. Cincinnati, I see it has more favorable run line trends than the Dodgers do. This is a good home run park too. If you guys are interested in this park for home runs, and I'll look at that wind real quick. Wind doesn't look like it's going to be too much of a factor. Hunter Green's walks per 9 inning average and home runs per 9 inning average isn't alarming to me. Sheehan pitched at Cincinnati earlier this year. He didn't start that game. He's the projected pitcher tonight for the Dodgers, Emmett Sheehan. But Cincinnati won that game 5-2. He did only allow one hit through 3.2 innings and struck 5 batters out. He also walked 3 batters. I like the amount of projected bats that Cincinnati has tonight in regards to batting average and the number of bats that have a quality batting average against right-handed pitching more than I like the projected players tonight for the Dodgers. Stolen bases. Both of these teams are really close, and all the stolen bases per game, stolen bases allowed per game, and all that. So I think the net bases prevented thing is extremely important here. Both of these pitchers have the number 2 next to their name, so I'd give Cincinnati a slight base stealing advantage. And I think there's a better chance for, Cincinnati to get some guys on. The Dodgers, I think one of their biggest strengths is drawing walks, and Green doesn't look like he does that a whole lot. 1.8 walks per 9 innings. And now Cincinnati is above average in drawing walks, and Sheehan is closer to that 3.5 threshold than by a long shot than Green is. Sheehan's at 3.3. So I'm gonna have to, as of right now, I'm gonna have to lean towards Cincinnati. Minus 1.5. It looks like they're a road underdog, or plus 1.5. Excuse me. Yeah. Okay. Looks like that about does it. I do like to refresh rotogrinders.com before I get out of here. See if there's any other new weather updates. Really don't see anything. Did want to mention in that Tigers and Athletics game, wind is blowing out towards left center field at approximately 7.7 to 9.8 miles per hour, which should give some extra carry to that ball. That's about it. I'm sure if you're watching this, you know where to find my social media pages. I'm on many different social media websites. Just feel free to type in this name right here, Better Betters. It's pretty much any platform, and I'll be making a post here probably within the next uh, 2 hours, 3 hours or so, 2 to 3 hours. All right. Well, hey, thanks for joining, everybody. Good luck today. Blessed up, P. I appreciate you as always for engaging in chat. And good luck today, everybody. Thanks for joining the Not Move podcast.